we haven't done a podcast since this happened, but basically Madison Square Garden rally, everyone knows about it. Tony Hinchcliffe did his set.
The biggest story in the entire world.
Biggest story in the world
is Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, we're obviously like biased on these stories because we're friends with them, but like it did remind me a lot of, because it gets in the thing where everyone starts arguing whether the joke's good, whether it's bad. Everyone has all these takes. And it reminded me a lot of something that me and you have said many times where people go, oh, I want to have a comedian at this thing. And you go, no, you don't. I know you think you do. Remember when I did like a political conference once.
Yeah.
And they had a comedian there. And I walked 90% of the audience.
No, you don't. You like the idea of having a comedian.
You think, yes, exactly. You love the idea of having a comedian.
You'd much rather hang out with a comedian versus having them perform.
I remember specifically, I said the joke where I said Allah's the gayest God because he's like, don't draw me. And one guy just goes, oh my God.
Good Lord.
There was one guy in the front drunk that was loving it.
Yeah. There's always one.
I literally finished this and got escorted off the premises, basically.
Yeah, they don't.
No, it's one of the things. I mean, remember me and JJ did the corporate ones. Me and JJ, there's these guys that we used to have in office, and there was a company that had like a courier service essentially in our office, and they were like, we're big comedy fans. Some of the guys that do the courier service, basically truckers.
Like truckers, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say the exact thing, but they were like, yeah, we have a big event for the truckers. It's at noon.
Yep.
And we're like, oh, you and your friends could come and do a couple sets. Me and JJ. JJ's up there. He's about a minute in his act, and he's bombing, right? So you end up in this situation. I'm not saying that's what happened to Tony Hinchcliffe. I'm saying that a lot of times in these situations, you end up in a situation where you're kind of like, oh, what I normally do is about to eat shit. And if I do dirty, I will do better, but I will be in trouble.
Right.
So you're kind of like, do I bite the bullet, take my check, and be like, that was awful? Or do I try to do okay and I'm in trouble?
Right. Because that's the thing, too, is a lot of times they expect you to kind of hang around for cocktails after you just ate shit.
Oh, JJ starts doing a bit where he goes, this girl's got a clit so big. He goes, I can't remember the joke. And the guy just looks at me and he goes, he starts doing the like, cut it off. So JJ's about a minute into his set.
Yeah.
They fucking run up to me. They're trying to cut the sound off. They're like, get him off stage. So I go off and I'm like, JJ.
And when they say stage, you're in like the corner of a cafeteria. Like when they say there's no stage.
Yeah.
You're just like, they go, hey, that part of the room, just do it there.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And then I went up. I was probably not, maybe not quite as bad, but the same.
Not as gross.
It was literally one of those things where it's like a buddy of yours, and it's like, oh, what's up? Before it's like, yo, Ryan, what's up? Blah, blah. Afterwards, it's like, thank you, Ryan.
You just made my life hell for the next month.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Ryan Long and JJ Lieberman. Yes, our staff will be in touch about the finances. Like they talk to you. Now it's formal.
Yeah, very business.
You got demoted to formalities.
Yeah. Well, they can't pretend like they liked it because they're like, this is a liability.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where a lot of times things don't.
Yeah, and again, this was a political.
But what else is he gonna? It's like your options are do what you do, which is that, or pander hard.
Yeah,
like he went up. He could go up and be like, who's the sleepiest Joe of all the Joes, right. And everyone would be like, woo, maybe. You know what
make
I mean?
some dementia jokes, some Nancy. Like
what would have killed is like. Like a late night monologue from like Gutfield. Probably. I don't even know if he does monologues, but that's
something
what would
like that. Yeah,
that would have been probably like the proper thing, maybe for that.
Yep.
And I was obviously I'm like, but that's what he does. So it's like from the comedian side, you go, they hired him to do what he does. He does what he does. And honestly, he did fine or whatever, but it's just a weird thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Fine. Yeah. Like I don't know. Like it just was not. It was a mistake.
People that are getting mad at him, it's like the only person to really get mad at is like, if you didn't like this, you're just like, Yeah, maybe the Republican Party shouldn't have had that.
Obviously.
But
I'm like, did you not see the
just
Tom
like
Brady
the other
roast?
place shouldn't have hired JJ.
Did you not see the Tom Brady roast?
Exactly.
Like, go watch that. What do you think you're getting?
Or say, yeah, we'd like you to do this. But I think it all boils down to that thing where people don't understand comedy that much, right?
Also, people there like didn't know who he was. Like, you know, it's not like there was 20,000 people there. I would guess maybe
A lot of them are older. You probably
2,000 people max knew who he was.
I don't know if that's true, but
I would think so for like that kind of rally. Like, I don't think he, you know,
there's maybe some of that. Yeah,
they're like, they don't know who he is. So he's just like, he's one of the speakers who goes up and then he's just like, oh, this guy's a comedian. And then they're like, oh, that's like, you know, it wasn't the right spot. It wasn't the right place for it.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where so then that happens. You go, okay, whatever. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, sometimes I feel like whenever you're talking about this stuff, you see people, you know, do a comedy set or you hear a clip from a podcast and everyone's like aghast, and I'm just like, seems very normal to me.
Yeah, it seems normal.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't really understand the uproar. But then people go so crazy that you have no choice to be like, whatever happened, you guys are being crazier than this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But the problem is, it really brings us back to 2016, where like you kind of remember what it looks like. It's back to our joke where we're always like, you know, they need the ad of De Niro flipping out. You're just like, if Trump wins, just remember, this is what you're getting.
Yep.
Like comedian, because, you know, a lot of it is, there's things where they almost like left you alone. They're kind of like, yeah, we probably don't like this comedy stuff that's going on over there, but whatever. Then as it becomes like more popular and as everything gets tied into politics again with Trump, it's like, you remember that everyone starts like peeking in every corner being like, what have they been doing over there?
Yeah.
And then when they start they don't like what they see.
They don't like what they see, no.
Do you know what I mean? They start being like,
Yeah, what are you saying?
They're comedians. Yeah, we're like, we need to stop racist. There's people that are bad for, you know, helping Trump or whatever. You go, where? And you go, yeah, you're right. Let's find out where. And they're kind of like, yeah, what are video games doing right now? Is there any racist stuff in there?
Yeah.
Or what are comedy? Like, what do they say in a comedy clubs? And they go in there, they go, good
My
God.
Lord.
Yeah, it's like a woman going to a rap show where they're like, you know, she's like, oh, that rap stuff. And then she's like, actually goes to the concert. And she's like, yeah, maybe I should be mad about rap. She's like, I'll go to the concert. And she's like, the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, every left-wing, that's the thing too, is like every left-wing news outlet was watching that entire rally, just waiting to find something to write up about, you know?
Oh, yeah.
They were going through that thing with they were all just sitting there, just being like, and then the moment he says, oh, Puerto Rico, and then they go, okay, here we go. Here's our news story. Let's run.
Yeah, because now it's attached to their thing where they like sort of feel like they have precedent on, which is like the public political discourse.
Well, they were
right?
already calling it a Nazi rally.
No, but that's true. But my point, so I agree with what you're saying. So it's but in addition, you also think like, okay, if they were like, I can't believe what's happening in comedy clubs, there's a little bit that's like, well, you guys don't have jurisdiction there.
Yeah.
But once it's like political discourse, they feel like, well, we actually do have jurisdiction on what's said at a political rally,
Absolutely.
right? So you go, this is like a speech of, so we actually, now you're in our domain.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we have a fucking lot to say. And guess what? Now we're going to come check it in your domain too.
From a risk reward on having Tony do the Trump rally is like zero reward. It was all risk. Like there was no real winning of having him there. Because if he
I guess the winning is they're like, yeah, we're the cool guys that have like comedy. We're like if you pay attention to podcasts and stuff, we're like, you know, we're hip. We have fucking cool.
I suppose, yeah. But
I feel like it's that, you know. Look, even these big comedians are coming to do our. He's one of the biggest comedians in the world coming to do our rally. Like, I think it's that, you know.
Maybe, but I just think in terms of how
we're where the culture's at.
We're where the culture's at, yeah. But how it would be analyzed by the left, like they would. I mean, dude, they were not happy with Jim Gaffigan.
Is that true?
Yeah, because Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah, that's one of those things where you're like, I'm going to do a set at the rally. And then you see Gaffigan just went up and they're like, distasteful. And you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Dude, Jim Gaffigan at the Catholic dinner thing that Trump did, where Trump was like doing basically like, Trump did a roast kind of, and Jim Gaffigan went up and he had some jokes where he was kind of making fun of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris a little bit. And they were not happy with him. Like they were like, dude, there's people who are like, Jim Gaffigan's dead to me. Like on the left. So people are like, that guy's like, Jim Gaffigan just fact.
And Gaffigan's like a never Trumper kind of.
Yeah. I know.
Not enough of one.
But he just was like, I'm going to somewhat call it like I see it. Like I don't like Trump, but I'll, you know, make some shots against the left. And they were like, you're dead to us. That was a line too far.
Yeah.
So I mean,
These things are always testy. I remember Michelle Wolf got in so much trouble. These dinners are always like, that guy that that's the impressionist or whatever?
Yeah.
Like they have that guy at things and, sometimes people are like, it's just like an impressionist always. And you're like, yeah, that's probably what should be there.
You want literally just like
here's me doing Bill Maher for 10 minutes.
Bot where you go and you're almost just like, yeah, these are impressions. Like I'm not.
And you're not even saying anything crazy in the
I'm not saying them. They're like Bill Maher saying these things.
But I'm saying even in that, he's not saying anything wild.
No.
He's like,
yeah. You're taking the path of
new rule.
Yeah.
When you're going to the movies, don't start the previews late. Like you really PG.
Yeah, really PG. Which again, I guess people would be like, if you brought that at the Trump rally at MSG, you go, oh, this is kind of lame.
If you're at McDonald's and you see an old guy, you want a young person because this person might actually do a good job.
Yeah. That's good, Bill Maher.
That's not a good Bill Maher, but I appreciate that. This guy, that's a friend right there. It's a guy who has your back.
I mean, he didn't have a Russian accent, so that was a win. Normally, they all have Russian accents for some reason. But I don't know. It was, but then they turned it around because then Biden called everybody.
Then
garbage.
it all got turned right. George Lopez was getting flack.
George Lopez calling all Mexicans thieves.
It's so funny because they make a point where they were like, basically immediately people were like, George Lopez did their rally the other day and he called everyone thieves, and they were like, yeah, but he's Mexican, and it was like, so are they thieves?
Also, the Puerto Rico thing is so weird, only because it was a real like kind of out of the blue shot at Puerto Ricans. Not that Puerto Ricans.
Apparently, that's like a bit he does.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit he does, but I'm like, then all these people afterwards were like, no, Puerto Rico really has like a real garbage problem. I'm like, nobody knows that.
No, come on.
That is not common knowledge.
They're saying it was like right now of all times when we have our garbage problem.
Yeah, when you have our garbage, but then everybody's like, Puerto Rico. I'm like, nobody knows that Puerto Rico has this landfill issue.
Well, it definitely seems like people start looking at comedy again and they start underwriting their position about how they feel about it, right?
Yeah.
Because now they're like, well, now it's now it's in politics.
We're not going to be talking about this in literally. We talked about.
No, he's going to set the record for the most people at a show very soon.
I mean, the Trump assassination lasted 6 days. We're now 4 days.
No. But my point to you is not about that specifically. My point to you is like, this was a little taste of
Yeah, for sure.
You didn't feel like a little deja vu to you?
A little bit, yeah. But that's what I expect. Like, I didn't even know he was going to be on it. So then, and I was watching, like, I was kind of flipping through the channels, and then I saw it on, and I go, oh, really? That's sick. Good for Tony.
Dude, and
I thought people didn't like it, but the carving watermelons, I thought was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, I thought it was a funny joke.
It was great.